Hello everyone, it's Hanny. This is a video about book folding and how I make line patterns in Photoshop, my own. So the other day I made this little book and I fold these letters, love, and well, I thought let's tell people how I make the line templates. I always say a pattern, but I think it's a template. How I do that in Photoshop. You have different kinds of books, small books. This is a small, even smaller, small books and thin books and thick books and whatever, big books. Well, today I'm going to make a pattern for this book, and it's not a very thick book, so I'm not going to make much text. I'm going to make some text, and the text mom with an M, a heart and another M. So only 3 characters, and you can do an image, not too big image. The first thing I want to say is that when you want to do text in a book, for example your own name, well, you have to count approximately 25 to 30 sheets per letter, per character. I know the M takes more than the I, so you have to, I don't know the word for it, gemiddelde. So when you have a word or a name with 6 letters, well, you have to have at least 150 sheets. Could be some less, could be some more. And when you have, more letters, characters in your name or in a word, well, you have to have more sheets. You can't make, yes you can make a word of 6 letters or sheets, letter, I don't know if that's so right word, but I mean those things. That's a letter in Dutch, but a letter is in your language, well, the sheet. So maybe you call it a character, I don't know, but you know what I mean, I hope. When you have 6 and you will do it in this book, well, it has 250 pages, 260 pages, and you have to take half of that, because you have to have a sheet. One fold is 1 sheet. So 108 sheets you have then. Well, it's possible. Here I had 75, I think. Well, when you can see it, the letters are a bit, or the characters are a bit loose. When you have more sheets, the letters will be more compact and a bit wider. So you have to think about that. So what I'm going to do is I take Photoshop and I show you how I make the word mom for this book. And when I've done with that, I will come back with this book and the sheet I printed, the template I printed. So I'll be back. So I started Adobe Photoshop, and I have Photoshop CS4 extended version 11.0 of 208. Well, it's a very old one. but I'm sure in later versions it will work the same. The first thing I'm going to do is, oh yeah, it's in Dutch, so you don't understand it, I think, only the Dutch people. But I will try to translate it in English as much as possible. The first thing I'm going to do is make the pattern with the lines, with the black and the white lines in it. So I'm going to make a very little document. I'm going to File and then New, and I'm going to work in millimeters. I think you can do it in inches too, but I'm not sure. I'm going to do the width at 2 millimeters and the height at 1 millimeter and the resolution at 300, and the background I'm making white. So that's my new document, and it's very small, you see. So I'm going to enlarge it a bit with Ctrl or Command plus. Well, it's still 2 centimeters, but you can see it better then. Then I'm going to fill half of it, so I'm going to make a guide in the middle at 1. You can see this is 0, 1 and 2 millimeters, so I'm going to do the half, and this half I'm going to color black. So I'm going to make a square with the select tool. I'm going to do that. I make the square, snap it to the guide, and then fill the square with the color, the front color black, like so. That's black. And now I'm going to unselect it again with Ctrl or Command D. And that's my pattern. That's all. So I'm going to, what was it? Edit, and then Define Pattern. And I give it a name, and I gave it lines, black, white, 1 millimeter. Okay, that's it. That's all. And when you do it in inches, well, you can make a little document of 1/16 of an inch high, and the width 2/16, so 1/8 of an inch, and it works the same as it works with millimeters. Then I'm going to close this. I saved it as a pattern, and now I'm going to make the document. I'm going to make a new document to make my pattern, my book folding pattern, and I have a book with 216 pages, and I have to take half of them, because 260 pages is 108 sheets. You're going to every fold is one sheet of a book. So and both sides of the sheets have numbers, so you have 2 numbers at one sheet, so I have to take half of it. So 216 pages in half is 108 sheets, and I have to have a bit room on both sides, so I'm going to do it easy. I'm going to make a pattern with 100 lines, 50 black lines and 50 white lines. So I'm going to make a new document. So file and then new, and I'm going to work in millimeters again. So this should be 100 millimeters because I want to have 100 lines, and I made a pattern in which the one line is 1 millimeter wide. So but I want to have a bit wiggle room to make my pattern, so I'm going to do 104 lines, 104 millimeters. Sorry, I have a frog in my throat. The height of my book is 21 centimeters, so I'm going to do the height at 210 millimeters. And I'm going to make the background transparent. Don't know why, but that's what I do. And I say okay. So this is my document. It looks a bit odd, but now I could do it later, but now I'm going to fill the page with my pattern. And I already have the bucket selected, the fill bucket, because I made the pattern black. But I choose pattern, and here is the pattern, and it's already on my pattern, but this is the pattern I made. So that's click, and there are my 100 lines, 50 black and 50 white. You can count them, but it's 100. I'm going to lock the layer here, because when I want to manipulate my text later on, I don't want to manipulate the lines, so I lock that layer and make it invisible again, because, well, it's a lot of lines, and when I want to make, in this case, text, I don't like all the lines in the background, so I will put them on or visible later on. Now I'm going to make text, and I want to make the text mom with a heart, an M, and then a little heart and another M. It's a bit complicated text, but I like it, so I can use it in English and in Dutch and in Frisian. I'm Frisian, when I want to make a present of it, when I want to give away the book, because in English it's mom, and in Dutch it's mam, and in Frisian it's mem. So the heart is for 3 different letters, but, well, that's not important. You don't have to remember that. I have chosen the text tool, and it's on Webdings, because there is the little heart. I'm going to type the little heart first, and I know it's much too big, but I know that Shift Y is the little heart, or the big heart in this case. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller later on, but now I'm going to type the text MM, and I can do it in different types of fonts, but well, let's see, I can choose a classic font like Bookman Old Style, something like that, this one maybe. So I'm going to do a M and then a bold one. I like that. And then the little heart and then another M, but I'm going to make the font a bit smaller. Let's make it 100 points. That's a bit too small, so 150 will do. And that's a bit too big, so 130. That's a bit too big too. Oh, I didn't do it right. 130. Could do that. 120. Sorry it takes so long, but... And then I'm going to type another M. And that's not the right M. I have to have a little M. And I've been busy before, so it is very close to the M's are, well, overlapping each other, and I did change that in this area, and I want to make it 0, so it's normal. Oh, I have to choose the text first, select the text first, and then do it on 0, so you can see it a bit better. I'm going to make the heart a bit smaller, maybe 100. I think that's big enough. Can do it that way. So I want to have the heart in between. So I'm going to copy the heart with, well, edit and then copy, or Control or Command C. So I have copied it. Difficult language, English for me sometimes. And now I'm going to paste, edit, paste, and the heart is in the middle. And you can do that also with Command or Control V. So now I'm going to remove the heart or make it invisible. And I'm going to manipulate this text because I don't like it this way. Much too much room over there, so I'm going to make a guideline, and I want the heart over there. So I'm going to select both. This is okay, but I'm going to select these two, and I'm going to increase the space between the heart and the M, and I'm going to do it, well, let's do min 10. Oh, I have to select everything, I see. Well, I'm going to do it min 50. That's a bit too small. Then 100 could do that. Maybe a bit smaller. Maybe 110. 115, just 115, maybe 120, just trying 120. I'm doing that here, you see. So I did 120, the space between minus 120, the space between the text, the characters. So now it's mom, and well, it's the width almost, and the height, well, I'm going to manipulate that later on, but now I'm going to fill it with stripes, but I want to have it with lines, sorry, but now I want to have the right width, so I'm going to stretch it a little bit to the right width, something like that. I have 1 millimeter space between the borders. You see? A little bit of space. Now I'm going to fill the text with the lines. And the way I'm going to do that is to make a mask with mom and the lines, the layer with the lines on it. The first thing I'm going to do is remove the little heart, that layer, because I don't need it anymore. I remove that layer. It's not necessary, I think, but it's a bit more clearer when I do. And I'm going to click the layer with the lines on it to make it visible again. And I'm going to put the layer on top of the text. So the lines are coming first, and behind the lines is my text. And I'm going to make a mask of the layer with the lines, and then when I do that, when I make a mask of that, I don't know how you call that in English, it automatically combines it with the layer underneath it. So when I right click and I make a, I don't know what it says in English there, but it's a cut out mask, something like that. And you see, there it goes. It cuts out the letters mom, the mask, and you see the lines through the text. And these are 100 lines. Now I have to combine these two layers, so I'm going to select both with the Shift button and combine the layers to one layer. Don't forget to save this document if you want to. So now it's one layer. The transparency is gone, and I'm going to save or to copy this piece of text. I'm not going to use the height of the document. I did that because, well, I want to know how it looks. It's way too small, you see, so I want to manipulate it, but I'm going to do that in a new document because I want to make it some wider too. So the lines is going to be a bit wider, but I will show you that in a minute. The first thing I'm going to do now is select the select tool, the square, and I'm going to select that and going to copy that, edit and copy, and leave it that way. Now I'm going to make a new document. That's File and New, and I want to have an A4 in A4 in landscape, and I'm going to do it in millimeters again, so it will be a bit clearer. The width, well, I leave it at 279 because the width is not so important anymore, but the height is. The height of my book is, well, that's a coincidence, but it's 210 millimeters. But when you have a smaller book, you have to make it smaller. When your book is 15 centimeters, you have to make it 150 millimeters. Yeah, and when your book is bigger than 210 millimeters, well, you have to do 210 anyway, because the A4, my printer can't print bigger than A4, so that's the maximum. So I leave it this way. My book is 210 millimeters, so that is okay. And I'm going to make it transparent. That's okay too. And I say okay. And that's my new document. And now I'm going to paste the word of the word mom, and I'm going to paste it in edit and paste, and there is my mom. And now I'm going to manipulate it in height and width. I do the little arrow select tool, and I can manipulate it the way I want to. I'm going to make it some wider. It doesn't affect the lines because, well, it's 100 lines and it stays 100 lines. But I want to have it a bit wider because it's easier to read when I use the pattern in my book. And of course I'm going to make it a bit higher. And that's important. Because, well, you have the book, and, well, you want to have not that tiny letters. If you want to have tiny letters, you have to leave it this way or smaller. But when you want to have some bigger letters, well, I think this is a nice size. I'm going to do it in, well, in the middle, maybe a bit lower than the middle, or something like that. Well, I think, and now I'm pushing enter, or OK in the top there. And I think this is OK. So this is what I'm going to print. You go to File, and then Print. And my page is on landscape. Mostly it's on portrait, but I'm doing it at landscape. And I'm going to print. I choose print and I get a little message, but that's not important. And that's my printer, and now I'm going to print it. And now I will see you back with my book and my pattern. So I'm back with my book and the template I printed, and what I did was outline the text, the template a bit, so I can see the white text or the white lines better. You see, I just with pencil I just do a bit of an outline so I can see it better. Well, these are 100 lines, maybe 101, maybe 102, I'm not sure, but I think 100 because I had a little space. And I didn't count them, but I know it fits in this book. But I'm not going to show you that now, how I fold it. That's part 2. I do that in another video. I made a video about folding a heart. I put a link in the description below to that video. That's a few years ago I made that video. This one I'm going to fold a bit different because, well, this is a bit more complicated because it's not one surface. It's, well, you have 2 lines in one page, you see? So, well, you can fold it with 2 sheets, but there's another way you can fold it in 1 sheet, 2 different lines of 2 different pieces in 1 sheet. And I'll show you that the next time. Well, thank you for watching, and I hope I'll see you then. Bye bye.